Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast made by fans like you, for fans like you. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground Podcast, the WTF, weekly WTF edition. I am your co-host, Joe Kuzma, and I guess our host, our pilot of the weekly column is Terry Fletcher. Terry, how are you today?
I'm great. Actually coming to you from Alabama. I'm on work week.
Sounds lovely. Is it nice and warm in Alabama or no?
No, it's cold. It was been raining, but today actually it warmed up to a nice breezy 52.
Okay, so 52. Of course, this is Terry from Southern California, so she's used to wearing turtlenecks when it's 75. This is not like people here in the Midwest or the Rust or Steel Belt that swings through probably Michigan, across New York, and sweeps through, of course, Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, the Steel City, where there's still people wearing shorts out. So I think we have a nice brisk 35, a high of 36. A low of 22. Some snow and ice has melted, some has not, which makes it fun, driving and hitting a bump that shouldn't be there. So, of course, we're here not to talk about the weather. The W is in WTF is not for weather. We're here for the fire truck moments in the NFL. We'll start with the WTF of this week of me screwing up and putting the wrong week when editing the article. So this is week 15. We have 2 more to go. And just when you think you might not have enough to go to run this feature every week, there's always something new and boneheaded. Well, let's start with bonehead number 1, and I was just mentioning this off the air, and I loved your reaction to this, Terry. I was asking, Terry, a little bit of your background. You work in a medical field, right?
I do. I'm a medical consultant and advisor and auditor, and I'm also an RN by trade. So I have that background to kind of give some information and insights on the medical conditions of players, not personally seeing them, but knowing healing time, understanding some of the things that go with some of the injuries, things like that.
Yeah, so Terry is the Team SCU mom, and whenever we have a cold or a sneeze, we ask her all of this information. And she's really downplaying this, folks. She's on, what are you on, like weekly, twice a week? You're on Sirius XM radio. You're on a show. You have a spot.
Yeah,
so
I do.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Well, it's actually something that just became in the works, and it's actually I'm in beta testing right now, and it's going to premiere in February, and hopefully that's the goal. And it's going to be basically coding, billing, advising, all medical field, and there'll be dial-in information for specialty offices to ask their financial and medical coding questions. So
yeah, so this is it's no small thing. I actually thought you had already started that, so my bad. But hey, we'll get to push it a little bit during the off season. Well, it won't be the off season; it might be Super Bowl season by then.
Yeah.
But Terry has alphabet soup after her name when it comes to credentials, and so I'm not downplaying. I don't want her to downplay it like she downplays it, but I had to ask Terry about blood alcohol content levels and legal limits and stuff. And when I mentioned, we all know that Michael Floyd passed out in his car somewhere and got cut by the Arizona Cardinals, picked up by the Patriots. Surprise, surprise there. And Terry goes, well, what was it? You said the standard just about everywhere is what with the blood alcohol content?
It is 0.08.
Okay, 0.08, and just to give you an idea, I'm told this is about 3 times the legal limit that Michael Floyd was found with a 0.217.
Yeah, holy crap. I mean, that's basically you're ready to, let's just say if you're on the road, you should be in jail. So that's ridiculous that he was actually even let go. That's just, who cares if you want to do that to yourself, but to put yourself in the position where you could hurt others is just so disappointing.
Yeah, I have to admit, and I think we've all done dumb things in our youth and everything like that, but this is a big WTF. I mean, this is very serious if you're under the influence of anything. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's like supposedly team fixers and people. call a number and just be like, hey, I'm out partying, and you're screwing up your own life, and you could screw up someone else's too. So kind of almost a somber start to our WTF episode here, because I'm sure there are people who've lost loved ones in this situation and very angry that this happened. I mean, this was shocking. I don't know. It's almost like, how much would you need? Well, I guess it depends on his body type, but
yeah, but it's actually an equivalent of about 8 to 10 drinks. So if he's drinking beer, he's probably more 10. But if it was hard alcohol, 7 to 8. And so everybody knows after 2, you're even pushing it depending on your body type. But that's how you get just to the legal, is just 2 drinks and then walk away. And if you're eating food, that helps. But if you are where his legal limit was, or what his illegal limit was, he actually had somewhere between 7 to 10 drinks. So,
yeah, I'm trying to pull up Michael Floyd right now. I just wanted to see 6'3", doesn't have his weight here. Hold on, but I'm thinking he's probably 6'3", 220, just a little bit smaller of a guy than I am. And I could tell you, it's like, I have somewhat of a tolerance level, but I could tell you when things start to go south. So kind of this is almost a PSA for everyone in this holiday weekend coming up. I mean, the police are out. My friend had made like some comment about the police are out to make their holidays great and destroy yours with tickets and that. But to be completely honest, they're just enforcing the law and trying to make this a safe holiday weekend. So folks, Uber, Lyft, if it's in your area, find a friend, find somebody. Don't be embarrassed about it, because this guy's lucky he just passed out and nothing happened. And unfortunately, some people don't get that lucky. So we got kind of dark and depressing at the very beginning, but let's go into the fun stuff, or actually very shocking stuff, before we wrap.
Can I just add
Sure.
a comment real quick? And the one thing that I think is, let's just put aside the DUI thing, because everybody knows that's stupid. The thing I don't understand, and this is the true WTF thing, is between the suspensions for the having the drug enhancement drugs and all that kind of, or performance enhancement drugs, and now the DUIs and everything. I think the players, I mean, what are there, 1,600 players? There's not very many jobs in the NFL, and it's supposed to be a privilege to play there, and they have probably the most accommodating employer ever. I'm just and the millions of dollars they make. I mean, seriously, why would you jeopardize your position? That to me is the WTF moment. I mean, do you really think that you can't be replaced? So that drives me insane. But okay, we can get on to more fun stuff now.
No, that, you know what, I think you brought up a good point there, that there's several levels to this, and there's of course the marijuana factor. And I said, I'm always a guy, and it's not, I don't want to bring politics into especially anything with this. We talk about this quite a bit off the air and off the record, but just to deal with marijuana, and a lot of people feel it's less harmful or whatever, but it's the fact that if you're drinking alcohol, you can do damage to yourself and others as much on a level as marijuana, but one is more criminally punished in the NFL. And I've mentioned this before. The reason being is that it's not legal everywhere. So when we bring up suspensions and things of that nature, I do believe Floyd will receive an NFL suspension, because he's more than likely going to receive jail time for what happened here. So those kind of go hand in hand. I'm a firm believer that if the justice system does its justice, then the NFL could do its justice. If the justice system if there's nothing, as we all know, with players who aren't charged for certain things, then the NFL should that's not their business, really.
Right.
I get it. These are public figures and stuff like that. But at the same time, I always hear people that were complaining about Mike Tomlin can't control his players or whatever like this, when you had like the Le'Veon Bell or Martavis Bryant. That's really not his problem.
No.
Much to the same degree, Ben Roethlisberger said this about Vontaze Burfict on his show too. He says, I don't know how much more, I don't know what goes on with the Bengals, but if that happened with our team, we probably have a talk, but I don't know how much more you can control something like that other than sitting a guy down. So everyone's their own individuals. You know what? Our wives, our husbands, spouses, best friends, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, whatever, have these talks with us, and we still go out and we do stupid stuff. So you can't blame this on the coaches. You can't blame this on the organizations.
Right.
So
they're men.
They are. How about Jordan Reed? Change gears. Oh.
Yeah.
You talk about tempers tend to flare, and that was the segue from Burfict to Jordan Reed. You're in postseason contention. You're a vital part to your team. You're a threat. You're probably like a Pro Bowl level player. I didn't see if Jordan Reed made the Pro Bowl or not, to be honest. But
I didn't see it either. But he's arguably one of their best receivers. I mean, he is a tight end, but I mean, I have him on fantasy. I know what he's doing out there, but I can't believe he let it escalate to the point where he got ejected. You don't throw a punch.
Yeah. Who throws a punch at somebody wearing a helmet? I wouldn't throw a punch at anybody in a football uniform. There's pads, there's helmets, there's face masks. There you go. Why don't you break your hand while you're at it when you're getting sent off of the field? It makes no sense. So that was WTF. Number one. Number two, talking about suspensions, talking about fines. I guess it's okay if you score a touchdown and jump into the Salvation Army red kettle. And then the NFL just, not only do the referees just say, oh, you know what, that's cool. Don't worry about
cute.
that. Yeah, the NFL says, nah, we're not going to fine them for that.
Yeah, it's almost like when who was it that kissed the referee and got a flag, but you pat him on the butt, you don't get a flag? I mean,
my goodness.
Collective things that are going on. And I think, you saw Le'Veon Bell's, tweet after that going, we got flagged for a handshake, and then, when AB with his antics, between, he gets flagged for everything. And so now we see, it seems like, is it Kobe Hamilton? He's the one that goes over to him and says, come on, let's go, after a touchdown now. He's like his babysitter over there so he doesn't get flagged. But I don't understand how it's okay for one player but not the other. And, and then the NFL says, oh, no, we're not going to do it because the ends justify the means because their donations and it's Christmas time went up. And it's like, that's all well and good, and I can appreciate that. And he gave $21,000 because that's his number. But rules are rules. And if you use a prop, like we'll get into the terrible towel thing that happened, that's supposed to be a 15-yard penalty. And then after that, you're going to get fined. And to not fine somebody for doing that, he should have had a $7,800 fine for a first offense. It just is beyond me when everybody on the Steelers seems to be getting fined no matter what they do. Yeah,
exactly. William Gay loves the dance, celebrate, pick six, and whatnot. And correct me if I'm wrong here. He actually would have been flagged for scoring his record-breaking pick six in Buffalo had there not been a flag. So they had actually said that since there was no touchdown, there was no flag on the play. That kind of nullified it. I think I'm remembering that correctly.
But that was weird because we've had a no touchdown celebratory issue before, and they did give a flag. So again, that's just a judge going, oh, let it go. So
it's so odd, and you know what, and that's one of the things too, where it's a situation that maybe referees don't see all the time. They have conference calls. Prior to everyone's belief, the referees are very busy. They have people watching them, aside from the millions who watch on TV all the time. They work on their craft. They're in shape during the off season or in shape during the season. They're going over rules, but there are just awkward things that happen, and you think to yourself in the heat of the moment, you're thinking, let's say there's a pick six. So you're running in the opposite direction of where you're expecting play to go. It's cold. The cold air gets in your lungs. There's a lot of things going and a lot of things happening real fast. And then you're trying to put it all together. And this is part of the reason why there's these big, long delays in between plays, which suck. And I think it's really killing. And that's one of the reasons they're losing the ratings. It really kind of kills the momentum and everything during these games. You almost need a shot clock on the referees, but they're trying to gather and put everything together and then say, well, geez, does this penalty get enforced? Does this penalty get enforced? But yeah, they are very much so singling out. There's a few guys, and I'm sure it's the guys they get in their film clips. So when you have somebody like AJ Green punt a ball into the stands, you're not thinking AJ Green is one of the usual suspects because Antonio Brown's twerking one week, Spider-Man on the goalposts one time. Surprised he didn't get flagged for doing a flip. It's just,
well, what happened? Who was the one that did that? Remember we were playing, I think, the Ravens, and he kicked the ball into the stands.
Well, that was AJ Green. Yeah, that was with the that was with the Bengals.
Yeah.
It's always the Bengals because Vontaze Burfict ran up the tunnel in the playoff game last year.
Right.
And now this game that just occurred last Sunday, you have Jeremy Hill going to the end zone. Don't ask me how this terrible towel ends up there. More than likely, having been a Steelers fan who's traveled to away games, somebody snatched it from someone being cute and threw it down to the field, or maybe they even bought one. Trust me, even the away games, there are street vendors at these away games that are there selling Steelers stuff. Whether you're in Cleveland, whether you're in Cincinnati, whether you're in Baltimore, they are selling it because they will sell. Steelers Nation travels very well. So somehow this thing ends up on the field, and he thinks it's a great idea to try and do a Hulk Hogan on it and try and rip it. Didn't work. Tries to sneeze or spit on it or whatever he does. He grabbed a prop, and he's celebrating with it.
And threw it down to the ground. But you know what? As soon as he did that, I didn't think of the flag. I didn't think of anything. I thought, we're winning this game. So I thought, the coaches, the sideline, somebody over there has to be like, what, WTF? What did he just do? Does he not get it? And then he actually tweeted out profanity, their towel, and then he deleted that tweet after. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, you know what? We did not cover that in the WTF article, and if I could get it up here, my iPad's not working. But I had the same reaction, and it's almost one of the few times on this, I like to say it's a family-friendly show, that I would feel comfortable actually dropping a real F-bomb. When I saw this, I was already pretty irritated with how the game was going. I felt disrespected. To use a big vocabulary word, I felt besmirched. I thought to myself the same thing at the same time. I'm like, oh man, you guys did it to yourselves now. You've opened Pandora's box. There's no going back.
Yep.
So.
Well, and all I could think of is we are not going to win this game with field goal after field goal after field goal. And then he did that, and I'm like, you know what? We only need one more. So it was just...
Yeah. And the funny thing is they only had the one field goal after that by Randy Bullock, and they didn't score the rest of that half. And I think it's great because we jumped the board with don't disrespect our towel. Le'Veon Bell was talking in his locker room. Cam Hayward tweeted. Eli Rogers. The best one of the day came from Vince Williams with the crying Jordan face put on Jeremy Hill, which is awesome. And then, of course, the Bengals. So
did you see the one on Isaac Redman, the former Steeler?
No.
He said this. Yeah, Isaac Redman actually did it too. He goes, what is that fool doing, disrespecting the towel? Everyone knows better than that. You have to find his tweet. It's pretty funny. I'm like, oh, he used to be a running back for us, so that was really funny.
Yeah, Jeremy Hill, F y'all towel. It's Yen's towel, Jeremy. Come on, get it right. This is after the game. This is after he probably took a shower. Same thing, Vontaze Burfict.
That's twice. He has allowed the Steelers to move forward into postseason. Last season with his drop in the wild card game, and then this season, I mean, I'm not saying we would have been out of it, but it would have made things a lot more difficult if he didn't do that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So, his WTF, and you just saw that the cameras flashed on the coach, and he just looked at like, you've got to be kidding me, or WTF, what just happened? So.
Yeah, so this was the reactions and after the game. That was the one. F y'all towel. Vontaze Burfict denied our interview request. This is from Jeremy Roush from Fox 19. And he says Vontaze laughed and said, I ain't got stuff. He said something else, expletive, to say F everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah, even you, Jeremy, for even coming in here. So, I don't know. It's just absolutely crazy. I don't know when these guys are going to figure. They're never going to get it. They're never going to figure it out. It's never their fault.
No.
So, but all the way back to, come on, Goodell, get this straight. I don't know if this is Dean Blandino's thing or are there other guys in operations of the officials. Consistent, please. That's what we want to see is consistency.
Well, Joe, when does the NFLPA step in and protect the wallets of our players? I mean, when aren't they supposed to have their back on unfairness. And, I realize this is tax deductible. Cam Hayward put that out there. But I mean, so what? I mean, I don't care if penalty's tax deductible. It's 15 yards. It hurts us on the next drive. And, especially when they don't call it and it doesn't go our way. But I mean, the fines have got to be killing these guys.
Yeah, and it is consistency. I had people kind of jump on me. I'm careful when I criticize the referees. As you guys know, I'm usually more defensive of them than usual. I think me and Brian talked about this on a podcast. I talked about this. Maybe this is my third time talking about it within a week. But once again, there were penalties that were completely missed. You missed one, okay. You missed two, I was really getting a little upset. You missed three, and it's just like, okay, are we just not calling face masks and pass interference calls against the Steelers in this game?
Well, I get upset when I hear the commentators, and I think, do we have Dan Fouts? And he was sitting there, because I remember we didn't have Sims, but he's like, okay, the referee is right there watching this play. You can't get any closer, and he doesn't call that face mask on AB. How do you not see that? And so, I mean, he goes, maybe he's looking for the pass interference, but when he turns the guy's head, how do you not see that with his hand on his face mask? So
yeah, you would think even where his eye, the referee's eyes, the referee's right there. This could be tunnel vision, because your peripheral vision, he's up on the line there. And if you don't take a few steps back, you're not going to see much to your left or right. But even so, the ball is almost right there at AB's hands, which are up right above his face, and then his face ends up coming all the way down.
Exactly.
The Bengals players are wearing white gloves. So, I mean, I don't understand it. White gloves on a black face mask and a black helmet in all of these instances, it's kind of hard for me to believe that could be missed. I could see when guys have white shoes or a lot of white tape around their feet, and then maybe you need a review because you can't tell if they stepped on the white stripe. I get it. I totally do, especially if it's snowing. And, it's just, I don't know. I can't talk about it anymore.
One thing I'd really like to see, and this is never going to happen, but I'd love to see it, is, when we see things happen or unfold in the game, and then afterward we're like, God, I wonder if that guy's going to get fined, or that guy's going to get a pink slip, he's going to get a fine. And then we hear about it the next week. They collect everything from tape or whatever. We never hear about the bad reffing, and it's out there. And okay, yes, they have a hard job. I know you believe that 85 to 90% is good, but that 10%, I'd like to know what happens to them. Do they get fined? Do they get a talking to? Do they get suspended a game? I mean, there's got to be some kind of repercussions for those guys too, because it's game-changing decisions that they're making out of the field that, that are costing jobs to people. So I don't know.
It's a very good comment, and I don't care to divulge some of the knowledge that I know about the professional officiating ranks, but I have some experience and know from a multitude of sports, actually, and different officials I know across different sports, and et cetera, and I can definitely tell you that one of the reasons they don't really come out and mention this is because it then makes the criticism even more difficult, because if you have somebody that's your boss, like Dean Blandino does a few of these, and it probably makes it very difficult. I know he picks and chooses which ones. More than likely, the ones that he picks are ones that aren't going to occur as frequently. So he's not going to pick the face mask ones, because what you're going to have happen is you're going to go into this weekend and you're going to have Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh or any of the head coaches or say, hey, you know what? Dean said that was a flag last week. Are you guys not calling? You know what I mean? It really makes it difficult, and especially there is human error. And you said maybe 90% of it's good and that 10%'s bad. Well, it's just like the negative restaurant reviews. I like to equate that to, it's something like people only leave a positive comment like 1 out of every 7 visits. Almost every time you get a review or something, you think about it, you read Yelp, you read TripAdvisor, you read a lot of bad stuff before you read some praise and compliments too. So what I think needs to happen, if you're going to say that about the officials, we talked about full-time and part-time. That's a whole different argument. I think the guys still work hard. To think that being full-time would make their job any better or any more important. I think that's kind of hogwash. If you think Ed Hockley doesn't put all this time and work into his craft, it's kind of BS. But they only have so many warm bodies that you could put on games, especially this time of the year. There are more games because there aren't bye weeks. And you can't really demote anybody. And I think this happened last year. There was Pete Morelli and his crew had something that happened. I don't remember what it was in a game. It was a blown call. And I only remember this because they were supposed to officiate a Steelers game. I do believe it may have been the Steelers and the Ravens or Steelers and the Bengals. It was a high-profile game. I know it was a division game and it was a rivalry. I'd have to go back and look for sure. But they demoted and put him like on San Francisco and somebody because San Francisco was hot garbage. And that kind of sucks too, because now you're telling the San Francisco 49ers that, well, you suck and you're going to get the bad officiating crew. So what they really need is, even aside from full-time, if you're going to say full-time, they just need more capable bodies to do games. So there is the threat of you losing your job. Like you said about players are replaceable. Right. There are a pool of players. You could grab somebody from a practice squad. You may have somebody that's in and out of the league, like Randy Bullock, didn't have a job, had a job, didn't have a job, now has a job. Referees need the same thing. So
well, yeah, and I think that I know that they're even trying to be accommodating, but I know there's one female out there. And I can say this because I'm female. You couldn't say this, it'd be politically incorrect. I think she's doing a terrible job. And I'm just going to say it only because she blows the whistle before the play's over because she's acting female. Like, wait, they're going to get hurt if I don't blow the whistle now. I've seen it so many times on Lev Bell when he takes his time to figure out where the opening is, and he's found a tiny seam that only he can. And she'll blow the whistle as he's still moving forward, but now the play's dead.
Yeah.
And so she's done it a couple times. And Ben actually on camera got in a ref's face. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that she was female or male, but she's like, he's like, what are you talking about? And then she was also one that was in, what was the game? I think it was a Colts game, but she did the same thing. And I've noticed it only because, again, I'm female. I can say it. But it's just interesting because I think that's a problem. Let the play out. Don't blow the whistle just because you think they could be getting a little hurt. It's a rough sport unless somebody's being, slammed in the head or something. But if it's a running back and they've got all of their offensive, linemen trying to push them forward, as we know happens, and they're helping them with that extra yardage, they've got to just let the play out until their forward progress has stopped. And so I think overall, I think the refs have a tough job, but I think that they're making it a lot tougher too, because, just non-calls and then calls that are just ridiculous. And then I think the missed calls are harder than the calls they make. So,
yeah, this could almost be its own show, and
it could be. I know. Sorry, soapbox.
No, it's good, and I think they were experimenting in the preseason with adding another referee on the field, and you know what? It's going to be a combination of that and cameras and camera angles, and this sports science is unbelievable. You wonder how players can throw for more yards, get more run for more yards, score more touchdowns. There are more games. That's part of the factor of it versus like Jim Brown's era, when they play like a dozen games or something like that in a season versus 16 now and postseason and everything else. But players are bigger, stronger, faster than ever before. Medical science has helped these guys fine-tune and pinpoint just technology, just everything. And as that happens, the referees kind of get trapped in I think her name is Sarah, is the female official.
Yeah, it is,
Just to kind of just touch on that too, some people might think, well, you know what? Obviously, she's female; she didn't play football. Well, there are a lot of head coaches that have not played football or played football at a high level. A lot of people rip Todd Haley for it. I mean, Mike Tomlin, he played at a small college like William and Mary or something like that. May have had some experience. Some of these guys just come off the coaching tree. They never played at all, but maybe somebody in their family was a coach.
And I think people can have that analytical background too and still be effective. I think you just have to take the emotion out of it. And unfortunately, I'm seeing that in her calls. That's just a personal observation. It's not a Steel City Underground observation. It's just a personal observation I'm seeing on TV. But I think just to kind of wrap up the referee thing, the one thing I am seeing, and this is something that bugs me, and I know it's got to bug you because we just wanted to go out and play football, is that every single time there is a pass, there is a caught pass and the player misses it, or I should say a caught pass that they didn't like how far they got, or they miss it. Aren't they always looking for a flag? just, suck it up. You're not going to get a flag on every single play.
Yeah, it's
every play.
It's tainting the game too. I equate that to soccer, where a player thinks they had some contact and they throw their hands up looking for a yellow card or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. They're doing the flag motion in football now. You don't see that really in the NBA, but the NBA guys are starting to flop like crazy too. I mean, it's everywhere. It's just this acting job. But to wrap that thought on, Sarah, you don't have to have professional football experience or have been a great NFL player to be a competent or good referee, coach, or any other type of non-player personnel in the NFL. It may help. There's also been excellent, amazing players who've had great college careers or great professional careers who do not transition well to other facets, such as being, let's say, a general manager or some type of coach. So it goes both ways there. But speaking of females, we talked about cheerleaders. I got to bring it up only because somebody got a little too happy at the Chargers game. Security personnel, and I'm a guy, so this is my turn to talk about this.
And just a little disclaimer, folks. I could not put it in my weekly column. I made Joe do it. I just couldn't do it.
This guy is standing in the end zone, and this is great too because this is about where I would sit for a game. And here's the other WTF: Roger Goodell, 4:30 Christmas. You screwed me, buddy. If it was 8:30, I could make the game. If it was 1 o'clock Christmas Eve, like pretty much everyone else in the NFL is playing, I could be at Heinz Field. 4:30, dinner time with the family. I got a young kid. Screw you, pal. WTF. I'm not happy about your scheduling us on 3 holidays. But the cheerleaders, okay, the guy thing. This is about where I sit. That's why I was thinking about the whole, I'm not going to be in my seats on Christmas, but I would have a good shot of this to get it on camera like somebody else would. I always see the security people there. Sometimes we joke around with them. I had one take a picture of me, in fact, with the banner in the corner end zone that I put up when I am there at Heinz Field. And so I don't know what this guy thought. There's over 68,000 paid attendants in this game. Okay. In fact, the official number was 68,352. And then you have probably another 1,000 or so people in press boxes and security people like himself, NFL media, coaches, players. So 69,000, 70,000 people, plus everybody that might have caught this like on TV. There's cameras everywhere. They're just official cameras and official microphones, not including everyone has one of these smart devices in your pocket. And this guy's playing with something in his pocket while ogling at the San Diego Chargers cheerleaders. I think it was the Chargers and Raiders game. Yeah. And this guy, I'm not talking about he has an itch or he groped himself. Like, I'm talking like a Miley Cyrus, if she were a dude, level of this guy is rubbing, tugging, pulling, stroking. He's doing it all. He's got the whole thing going down in the middle of a football game. Dude, put it in the memory bank and save it for later because he's going to get probably criminal charges pressed against him. This is insane.
I was like, you know what, dude, guess what? You're going to get that public indecency ticket anyway.
Yes, if you haven't seen it, it was on Daily Snark, at NFL_memes put it out, and it pretty much blew up. It's everywhere. I'm sure it's like on BuzzFeed and stuff like that as well. We also put it on SteelCityUnderground.com, just to plug the website, and Terry's weekly article. And that's a wrap on the weekly podcast as well. Terry, Merry Christmas to you, because we won't do this again until between the holidays if we have some more ammo. We had a lot today to go over.
We did. And I'm sure we'll have a lot next week since Christmas Day, Raven football. And it'll be something. I'm sure that game will open us up with our WTF the following week. So Merry Christmas to you as well. And can't wait. Hopefully you'll get to at least watch it. No, you won't be able to get there, but hopefully you'll get to watch it.
Yeah, and same to you. And then to wrap this for all of our readers, just to get in, our listeners, I should say, and readers, if you happen to be reading. I was watching Good Morning Football today. They were talking about Terrell Suggs and everything. I guess he wore this gladiator helmet coming out of the tunnel in the last Ravens-Steelers game. But I'm going to tell you what Mike Mitchell is thinking right now. This comes from Ed Bouchette, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Ed Bouchette tweets out an interview piece with Mike Mitchell, and he says, when I got here, it was just, you don't like Baltimore. And he says, it's like growing up during the Cold War, you don't like Russia. And that's beautiful. That's exactly it. We don't like the commie Ravens. And with that, folks, happy holidays, season greetings, Merry Christmas, Happy Festivus, whatever it is that you celebrate. Just have a good one. Be safe. Don't be Michael Floyd. And you know what? I will catch you guys later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.